Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
0-2, shot deep down the middle, back into center. Hernandez to the wall. That's gone. Home run for Randy Arozarena.
Oh, and that's the way the Rays started last night en route to an 8-4 win. More adversity. Didn't have their starting pitcher, Drew Rasmussen, whose wife gave birth to a lovely young child. And the Rays went out and put together a pitching performance and beat the Red Sox 8-4. Getting a little buzz. You got a little buzz in my headset today. I don't know what's going on. A little bit of buzz, but that's okay. Hope you guys are hearing us loud and clear. If you're not and you're watching us on YouTube, give us a little note, then we'll try to hook it up. Good morning to you. Welcome to the JP Peterson Show. We got a great show for you today. We're really excited about it. As usual, Greg Auman from The Athletic is going to join us at 10:45 as we zero in on Bucs and Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. I think it's coming from the computer. There you go. So we'll talk to Greg Auman and TJ Rives, Bucs sideline guys, going to join us at 11:15. And we're going to talk about the Rays. We're going to talk some college football. And I'll say good morning to Nick Geddes. You got to pop your beautiful camera up there, my friend, from outsider.com. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. As you said, a great victory for the Rays last night. We're 4 days away from Bucs and Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. I'm jacked up. Are we less than 24 hours yet? I don't think so. From tomorrow's.
No, we're probably like 36.
Yeah, 36. My math is
30,
not there.
Something like
we're
that.
Getting closer, though, basically, to Mahomes, Allen. Or, I'm off. Wait, no. I got them all witched around. It's the Rams and Bills, right?
Rams and Bills, yes.
There you go.
Rams
Stafford and Allen. There we go.
Yes. Great start to the season. And he drafted my fantasy team last night because I was we kind of dovetailed it a little bit. I got in on the early and we agreed on some picks. But Nick did the yeoman's share of it. I like him. I like my team. I think he did a hell of a job drafting my team. I think we're all on the same page there. So we're back here in beautiful downtown, or not downtown St. Petersburg, but at CP Communications and ready to rock. The Rays got a big win last night, 8-4. We'll get to them in a little more detail later on, but we want to get to the Bucs, obviously, as they get set for a huge opener Sunday night. That sounds much better. Thank you. Coming up at Dallas, which I will be at, by the way, traveling to Dallas this weekend to meet with the great folks at DSP Media, who we will be partnering with, and we'll get a great feel for the Dallas Cowboys in the next couple of days. We're going to have some guests on from Dallas, so we'll get you kind of up to date on behind enemy lines on the next couple of days. So I'll be there at AT&T Stadium on Sunday night for the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. I have not been to their press box yet. I've been to the stadium a couple of times, but not to the press box. So looking forward to seeing all the accoutrement, and we'll take you behind the scenes on social media. And we're probably going to do a pregame show at some point on Sunday that we're going to throw up on the app and also do something on YouTube. So we'll have a little bit more details on that coming up tomorrow and on Friday. So, yeah, let's dive right into the Buccaneers, and we'll get to the Rays here in just a second. A very interesting take this morning on Tom Brady. Get Up opened up their show with about 8 minutes on Tom Brady. And a lot of it has been on the national media. I think you've heard a lot of talk about distractions here in Tampa Bay, about how Tom's 10 or 11-day break, whatever it was, to be with family and work things out with his family was going to in some way be a detriment, and that Brady is not all in. There was a question the other day to Todd Bowles, which he kind of laughed off. And I think and the people I talk with in the Bucs organization all, kind of laugh about it when you talk about it, because they are not concerned with it at all. In fact, they kind of have the take that we've been talking about, Nick, for a couple of weeks now, that, when Brady took that time away, that was the time to clear his head and get his head right and get it in a right space to be able to come back and be all in. That was the whole point of doing it. And when you got a guy with all the experience and savvy that Tom Brady has, and also 45 years old and in need of a rest of his shoulder and elbow from really what would be meaningless snaps in training camp and only snaps that can get you hurt. It was, to me, a perfect plan. We've been talking about that for a couple of weeks. And I also think that history tells us about Tom Brady that anytime he has adversity or turmoil in his life or in his situation when he was suspended, he went on to win a Super Bowl. You usually get the best of Brady when you test him in this way. It focuses his already ridiculously detailed focus even more to a laser point. So here's Jeff Darlington this morning on Get Up. We apologize for the audio. It's off the TV, but I think you'll get the point. And it's interesting that the folks on Get Up now and the national media, I think, are starting to turn this narrative a little to you better watch out. Here's Jeff.
Okay, Jeff Darlington, you actually gave me some very interesting insight in our meeting this morning about the different, maybe Tom before the 11-day break and after the 11-day break. What's that about?
Yeah, I would take a little bit of a different angle on this, Greeny, from the standpoint that I don't think this is about Tom Brady playing pissed off as much as it's about him playing at least with a clearer mind. There's people within the Bucs organization, those who know what's going on, who would say that some people wondered if those 11 days off was a bad thing because of the lack of preparation that it provided for the season. But there's others, more important people, who say if he hadn't taken those 11 days off, this would have been far more problematic heading into the season. So Tom Brady loves the way that the Bucs organization handled that absence, the fact that they stood behind him publicly and privately. He came into the building dialed in. He came into the building with a focus that they wanted to see heading into the season. So whatever is going on, whatever continues to go on with Tom Brady, that 11-day absence at least allowed him to find the clarity that he needed to go into the season with some sense of focus that the team needs to see.
Quick final word, go.
All right, listen, two things. Preseason, he showed you that 11 days didn't mean anything. They went against the Colts, and he ran an up-tempo offense, to near perfection. The second thing, Ryan Jensen, the center, who is now out for a few months. This guy talked about Tom Brady and how he gets his offensive line to feel comfortable. He said he'll be making changes in audibles, and they'll try to adjust which linebacker. Don't worry about it. He won't get to me before I throw the ball away. This dude understands how to know like defenses. That's how it works.
Look, to use another old expression, you won't like him when he's angry, and it's the Cowboys who will have to deal with him on Sunday night.
That's right. That's right. You will not like him when Tom Brady is angry. I think this is, obviously national media are looking at the Bucs and they want to poke holes in this team, and that's just the way the NFL is. And I think it's fair to question the offensive line until we see what it's going to look like and how they're going to operate. And I think without question, you're going to see, Micah Parsons attacking that A gap and B gap, as we talked about with Scott Reynolds yesterday on the Pewter Report. But the Bucs know that, and they're going to adjust for it. If they leave Luke Gedeke one-on-one in some of these situations with DeMarcus Lawrence or whomever, that's just dumb. They're not going to do that. They're not going to. They're a little bit smarter than that. They know where their deficiencies are, and they'll coach around it. And you have the best quarterback to ever play the game, especially in terms of getting the ball out quickly. So these are all things that can be mitigated, and that's what the Bucs are hoping for. I still think they're dangerously thin in the interior. If they get an injury with Robert Hainsey, if they get an injury with Luke Gedeke, they are dangerously thin at center. But you know what? You could say that about probably half the offensive lines in football. So here we go. These guys are going to have to step up and play. And when you look across the board at the Buccaneers roster, you see what the people in Vegas see, that they're the second or third best choice to win the Super Bowl. And an angry Tom Brady, I think, gives them a little bit more incentive there.
Yeah, I told you before that we started the show, it just seems like everybody's down on the Buccaneers for whatever reason. And I don't know if it's the absence that's caused this, but again, we've been down this road before. Is this a smart play from the media to keep doing this?
Keep bringing it.
Because we know Tom Brady's listening. He's watching. He's listening to Peter King tell him to say out loud that the Saints are going to win the division and the Bucs are going to struggle to make the playoffs.
Yep.
He watched Colin's show yesterday where Colin Cowherd had the Bucs number 7 on the power rankings. Teams like the Broncos, Broncos ahead of them, who haven't done anything yet, right?
Where is it? Look, I love Russ Wilson like everybody else, and I've always considered him way better than most people do. I think he's top 5 quarterback in the game and has been. But that Denver roster ain't all that.
Yeah, I don't know where this is coming from. This Denver roster's ready to win. right? And in the AFC, that division, I don't see it. A lot of people are, I mean, Colin Cowherd is a huge Russell Wilson fan, probably the biggest Russell Wilson fan on the planet. So it's not surprising, but they're not better than the Bucs.
No,
I don't care what anybody says there.
And they're in a much tougher division.
No, and I believe on Get Up as well. I don't know if you had saw this morning, but they had a little sound clip from Charlie Weiss, who was his offensive coordinator, I believe, for a few years in New England, and said, you know, you keep doing this, he's going to win the Super Bowl this year, and he's going to use it as fuel. So,
yeah, that was kind of the predicate of the whole segment, is that Charlie Weiss came out and said all this. And I just think, isn't this obvious? I'm not, you know, we've been saying it for a couple of weeks, but I'm not sitting here, you know, this to me is obvious. Look at history. Look at history. And the whole distraction thing, like, yeah, mind, body, and soul. That's essentially what TB12 is. And they're constantly preaching that your mind has to be in the right space. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that Tom took this break. And also that the Bucs were, of course, go get your mind right, get your family right, do whatever you got to do. I mean, there are reports out there that Giselle has left the compound, not much of a compound, by the way. And whatever's going on, whatever, you know, we're talking football here, and we hope everything obviously works out well for Tom and he gets all that straightened out. But I think if anybody can compartmentalize it, it's him.
Yeah.
So I have no worries about that at all.
No, and you talked a little bit about the offensive line and some of those concerns. You know, I'm at this point where I'm looking at it from a game by game basis. And, you know, I'm ready to start doing my prep for the Cowboys here. And I look at it. Do you know how this is a great matchup week 1 for Luke Gedeke, for Robert Hainsey, and for Shaq Mason? Because the interior of Dallas's defense is not strong. You want to hear these names? If I can even pronounce this name right, it'll be great. Osa Adigawazua and Neville Gallimore. Those are your starting nose tackle and defensive tackle for the Dallas Cowboys.
Didn't Neville Gallimore do a collab with the Neville brothers, I think? I don't know. That sounds like a dude who's a DJ. It doesn't sound like a big badass defensive tackle. I know who they are. No, they are not. This ain't the old Cowboys.
This is a great start for those guys to have to ease into this.
Yeah, I mean, they got Micah Parsons. I think their defense will be pretty good, but it's not, you know, it's not a top 10 defense in the league by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
and Michael Gallup's not playing. Limited resources. Zeke is just not even close to the guy that used to be. Tony Pollard's a good back. Dak carved this up last year. I'm going to give him full credit, but he had more weapons and a better offensive line.
Yeah, and speaking of the offensive line for the Cowboys, are we just going to overlook the fact that they're going to be starting Tyler Smith, a rookie out of Tulsa, or Jason Peters, who's 40, if they can get him in time for this, which I doubt.
Yeah.
And on right tackle, Terrence Steele, who's nothing really to write home about as replacing Lael Collins. That tackle tandem is probably one of the worst in the league on paper.
Worst.
And you have Shaq Barrett, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, Carl Nassib, Anthony Nelson, all coming for that.
Yeah.
All coming while Vita Vea and Akeem Hicks clogged the middle. I don't want to hear about the mismatches with the Bucs when that's the biggest mismatch on the field, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think the Cowboys are very good. I could be wrong. Stadium's going to be rocking. It shouldn't affect the Buccaneers with their experience. By the way, we talked about Greg Auman coming up at 10:45. He had a great little nugget here today. And a lot of people look at this as a negative. I look at it as a positive. The Bucs will start the season with the oldest roster in the NFL at 27.5 average age. Obviously, Brady skews that up tremendously. But I think that's a good thing. Experience wins in this league. You know, you go look at the guys that are making the biggest impacts, the quarterbacks that are winning Super Bowls. For the most part, these are veterans. These are seasoned guys.
I mean, it happens across all sports. I mean, the Lightning have like the oldest roster in the NHL, and look how much they're winning, right? You look in the NBA, Golden State's been around. These guys have been around for 10, 12 years. Their entire roster, the core of it's over 30, right? They win every single year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it works in sports. I think we're at that point where this older guard, these veteran players, it works at the moment. You might have some injuries, but if you have the depth to do it, and the Bucs do, and by the way, I mean, restructuring $6 million yesterday.
Interesting.
It's got everybody kind of rolling their eyes or moving their eyes a little bit there on that. Could it mean something else? Who knows?
Could be Gronk, could be an interior offensive line,
or just to have some operating money for the year.
It's operating money for the year to be able to bring somebody in if they got to bring somebody in. I think more likely someone in the interior line, but it could be Gronk. Who knows?
Who knows?
You know, I thought for sure Gronk would come back. I still think there's a chance, but as every day goes by, I don't think the Bucs are looking for it to happen. But listen, if you wanted to come back and Brady wanted him, if something were to happen to Kyle Rudolph or something like that, I don't think it would be a stretch to get him back in here. All right, a couple other notes on the Buccaneers. Hainsey says his ankle is good to go. So we hope it is. We hope it is. It will be tested. There's no question about that. A big question on Chris Godwin, who, by the way, we drafted. Where did we get him? Like the 6th round?
We got him in the 5th or 6th round. I stole him for you.
Stole Chris Godwin. I don't think he's playing this week. You know why? He doesn't need to play. He doesn't need to play. I mean, everybody's healthy. Evans is healthy. Jones is healthy. Gage is healthy. Rudolph is healthy. The backs are healthy. Everybody's healthy. You don't need him now. The part of the reason you have a deep receiving core, especially with the experience of Julio Jones, I think they did that with the eye that, look, let's get through the beginning of the season. At some point, Julio's going to get nicked up. No question about that. But the longer we can go with Julio and not put Chris Godwin out there, I think the longer is better for the team. I think Chris Godwin could play. I think he has said on a podcast yesterday, and he'll talk today in the locker room, that it's up to him at this point, which tells me the trainers have cleared him. And you watch him out there. I watched him in training camp about 2-3 weeks ago from about 10 yards away, watching him run routes and stick that knee in the ground and make cuts. And he was stopping on a dime, leaving defenders in the wake. I mean, that knee is ready to go. We've talked about these rehab times now that are dramatically accelerated with the use of stem cells and PRP. He's ready to go. Now, that said, why push him? Why push him if you don't have to? And I think that's probably the mindset where the Bucs are. But if it's up to Chris Godwin and he feels like he can go. Now, he's also said on the record that he wants to be around for the second half of the season. He was very frustrated by not being able to participate in the postseason. Let's just be honest. If Godwin was out there, I think it's a way, way different outcome for the Buccaneers. He's such a huge part of everything they do, not only in the run game, in the pass game. Obviously, he's a great blocker. He's, to me, top 5 all-around receiver in the game. I've said that forever. He does it all for the Buccaneers in so many situations. Big third down guy, red zone. When they need a big play, most of the time they go to Chris Godwin for a lot of different reasons. So I just, as much as I'd like to see him out there week 1, unless he comes out and says I'm starting and I'm, and I'm ready to go, I probably won't start him in week 1 in fantasy. I just don't think the Bucs need to at this point.
I personally can't see it. I mean, I told you I would probably hold him out week 1. I'd hold him out week 2, and I'd bring him back week 3. I think that gives him even more time to get comfortable with that knee. You got to remember, the brace just came off 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And, a lot of that is it's not comfortable. Receivers hate wearing it, and he just wanted it to come off. But you need time to really get, I think, acclimated without the brace and feel comfortable. Week 1 in Dallas, I don't think it's a great spot for it. I definitely don't think week 2 against New Orleans is a great spot for it. So I'm aiming for week 3. And plus, Russell Gage is here. And nobody's going to say that Russell Gage is as good as Chris Godwin. But I think for a week he's pretty damn good. And I think he can play that role that Chris Godwin did in the slot to perfection like he did and be that guy that Brady looks to. So even though they haven't really had the benefit of any in-game snaps, I'm not worried about that at all. So I do think the Bucs can get by it. And again, everything is coach speak at this time of the year, and they're all lying. But Todd Bowles he can't say enough good things about Julio Jones, that he looks like he's, the 2019 pre-version of Julio Jones. And I hope that's the case.
Well, look, I saw Julio up close in 13 and 14 when I worked with the Falcons up there. And I used to marvel at how he practiced, when he practiced. He didn't practice a lot even back then, but when he practiced, usually on Wednesdays, it was comical at times, just the way he runs routes, as big as he was and as fast as he was. And I was expecting to see a shell of the man that I saw back then. After the last couple of seasons of just being so oft injured, I was shocked, honestly. I was shocked when I saw him in training camp, how fast he was. In fact, at first, because of the number, I'm like, that can't be Julio. Like, that can't be Julio. And I was
he's sticking with it, by the way.
I'm like, who else could it be? It's that's Julio. And I was like, holy hell, he had slimmed down. I think he's probably dropped at least 10 pounds, maybe more. So less torque on his knees and lower body. Maybe he's got that TB12 working, who knows? But whatever he's doing, he looks fantastic. And again, all the more reason I wouldn't I wouldn't count on Chris Godwin playing, and I don't think it's that big a deal.
No, I it's so weird because how many teams in the NFL have the luxury of saying that?
Right.
I mean, you take an Amari Cooper
ridiculous.
away from the Dallas Cowboys, and you look at the depth chart, and you're going, Noah Brown,
Yeah.
Jalen Tolbert,
Yeah.
That's who our 2 and 3 is for this game.
Yeah.
Again, the Bucs, they have it spoiled. They are absolutely spoiled. You look at that depth chart yesterday. The Bucs released the official depth chart finally.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty Miller is like legit wide receiver 6 and backup to the backup kick returner / punt returner. That guy is stashed away, probably not even going to play maybe a snap or two a game, right?
Yeah.
Think how good the Bucs have it.
This is a great roster. It is a great roster, not a good one. And as I've yapped on about for the entire preseason, I can't wait to see how good this defense can be because I think it can be lights out. Listen, Dak carved us up last year. I get it, but this is a much different team, as we mentioned, in the offensive line. And I think the Bucs win the line of scrimmage. I think they harass Dak Prescott, give him no time to throw, doesn't have receivers that can really get open except CeeDee Lamb. And they're not going to be able to run the ball. I'm telling you, nobody's running the ball on Akeem Hicks and Vita Vea. It's not happening.
And teams are not even going to do it. Last year, teams said, we're just going to stop running. Dak Prescott threw 58 times.
Yeah.
58 times he threw the ball in week 1. They said, we're just not going to run the ball at all.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, we can expect to see the same thing. Without Tyron Smith in the lineup, and we know the number, they're a whole yard less running the ball.
That's right.
With him in there and with him not in there. And the Bucs being somehow, I think, even better at stopping the run this year, if that's possible.
They're faster. They're more athletic.
Yeah.
They're just as big, if not bigger, with Akeem Hicks in there. Devin White, who we're going to hear from right now, if he stays true to what he's talking about, and he's going to play in a more controlled fashion, I think he could take a huge leap because he has been, so out of control at times, and he misses tackles, he misses assignments. If he can use that great athletic ability and harness it for good instead of bad, it's like an evil Marvel character. Harness your talents for good. He can be off the charts. He's already one of the best linebackers in the game in producing big plays. We all believe he kind of dropped off last year, but this year could be a huge year for him playing behind these two big boys. Let's listen into Devin White in the locker room this week.
I think the thing that we preach around here is like, no matter if you got the C on your chest or not, you got to come here, you got to hold yourself accountable as that guy. You got to be able to tell another guy, X, Y, and Z. For instance, me and Antoine, we kind of over prepare with just being physically ready. We run on and off the field, touch the line, and, he don't got a C on his chest, but if I'm slacking, he kind of bring me with him. So, it's just what we do here. Like, obviously you only can pick a certain number of guys, but we want everybody to feel like they got the right to be able to exercise their voice in any way on this team. So, it's good, as long as the younger guys know that, in which we are preaching it. Like, you don't need no pat on the back. You rather the coach tell you whoa than sick them. So that's the kind of mindset we have.
Devin, like you said, you've been a captain before, but it's the first time for Vita Vea. What do you think made you guys vote him in?
I think he's just been a guy that's been really consistent. And even when he was hurt, he was still around the building. He's always going to be that guy that you can lean on, when it's time. So, I think that was the thing that just got Vita over the edge. And, everybody see it. Everybody want to play with a guy like him. Everybody respects a guy like him and respects what he do on the field as well. So, I think that helped him out a lot. And which he's a deserving guy, like, really.
Feels like he'd be a positive style mover. Is that right?
Yeah, man. He don't have he don't get mad. Like, I never heard him cuss on the field. Yeah. He always joking with the other team. I be telling him he's too nice to be so big like a teddy bear. So, he's a positive leader. Like, even when it's, something going bad, he gonna put a smile on his face.
Love Vita Vea.
60 times against you guys. What do you expect from him this time?
Why he did that? Hey, come run on. So we're expecting to stop the run. Coach Casey emphasized that, and man, we gotta really buckle down because they got two great backs. I'm gonna say two of the greater backs in the NFL, and we got to be ready to stop those two guys. But I think passing the ball, it was doing a lot of intermediate passes. I think that was part of their run game, and so we really prepare more for that. At first we thought they was gonna come in last year and stick to what they do. They don't care about they the best run stopping team. We still gonna run the ball. That's was our mindset. But now we got a whole nother outlook because we already played them. We know how they attacked us. So I think we'll be ready for them.
Devin, what's it like being in a game like that where your opponent that's so renowned for running the ball, like they don't even commit to it anymore. I think Zeke ran the ball I think like 11 total.
Asking about the run game.
I mean, for me as a defensive player, it's a respect thing. They respect, the type of wall that we built up front on our defense. But at the end of the day, you got to stay ready for whatever. And so that just goes back to playing fundamental football, reading and seeing your keys and making sure, you're not taking them lightly in the run game because they still will run it. So when they do run it, don't get gassed by it. And when they're not running, see your keys and get out and get into coverage. So, I mean, it's going to keep you on your toes, keep you honest, because you never know what a team is going to do going into the game until the game actually get going, and then you'll see what they're comfortable with. And we'll know that by the end of the first quarter.
I know that
They're going to the quick passing game. There's no doubt about that because they know that
they
try to do 7-step on this Bucs team. Dak will get killed.
Which jumps out when you watch him?
Oh, man, he's just a guy that Dax, he loves a lot, so we know he's going to not say so force feed him, but if something break down, that's one of the guys he's going to look for. So right now in the pass game, me and Levante, we kind of going back and forth. We're going to get to hold him the most because, this year I want to hold more tight ends as well as running backs, so especially when we're in man coverage. So, I mean, I feel like we got a great game plan for the tight end. I feel like we got two great backers to be able to slow that tight end down.
Is that a personal goal for you this year? You said covering more tight ends?
Yeah, if Levante don't get overwhelmed, he be having some type of agenda against tight ends where he want to lock them all down. He say the running backs be boring, but we got good backs in our division as well as the NFL. So, I mean, I do whatever the team need me to do.
Jamel won the starting job at corner, and I know everybody plays, right? Play, but what have you seen in terms of Dean's growth as a player?
The growth of Jamel Dean.
Oh, man, I could just speak on this training camp. He been attacking the ball. One thing, Dean was always a player, like he was going to be in position. And he wasn't going after the ball, but he wasn't going to get beat and type of that player. And he just took his game to a whole nother level. He tall, probably the fastest defensive player, 4.30. He long, rangy. And now that he's attacking the ball, I think that put together a resume. And if you go look at his numbers last year, I know I seen some on the internet where he was like, one of the fewest conversion rates on them. So, I mean, he just putting together, it's taking time. Obviously, it takes time for every young guy, including myself, to get going, get into a rhythm. But he finding himself and, man, congrats to him. I didn't even know what was going on. They was fighting for a job or whatever because I just know everybody be on the field. So it's like it is what it is. I think he deserved it, and I feel like Sean deserved to be on the field, which he probably will be at nickel at times and corner at times. So we're gonna use everybody, and hopefully we can keep everybody here.
That's Devin White right there talking about this game with Dallas, and I think he's going to have a really big year. I really do. His defense is stacked and ready. Hopefully they can stay healthy.
It feels like everybody in this defense is so aware of what they need to be better at. Yeah. Like Devin White has been very open about, I need to slow things down and I need to use my speed to my advantage, not to a disadvantage, because you can do that, believe it or not. I mean, I hate to compare him to Derek Brooks, but Derek Brooks had probably the best controlled speed I think you probably had ever seen on a football field.
Yeah.
I mean, the way he made tackles. Devin White has so far not been able to take that next step. And again, I'm not comparing him to Derek, but I think he can be a guy that can be here for 10 years and be a leader of that defense. But we need to see more growth in his game. And similar to the answer he gave about Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis has spoke about it. I need to take the ball away more. I mean, what was it John Gruden used to say? Are you a good defense or are you a great defense? Do you take the ball away?
Right.
And if you're a corner, again, are you a good corner or are you a great corner? It's all about taking the ball away. And these cornerbacks, I mean, Jamel Dean, his hands, I hope they're better this year. Carlton Davis, I hope the ball instincts are better for him this year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you get from good to great.
Linebacker is a very instinctual position. To me, linebackers are the running backs of the defense. And what I mean by that is they're in a very similar position. They're 5 yards behind, 5, 6, 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And they have to see the vision, right? They have to see the play developing. You watch the great linebackers like Levante David at the snap of the ball. They can see the lane to get to. They can see the lane where to beat the guard or the tackle to the spot, whoever's going to block you. They see that in their peripheral vision, and they see the lane and they go for it. As running backs do the same thing. They see the flow of the defense. The great ones see the cutback lane or they see the bounce out lane, and it's almost instinctual. They just feel it and they see it. And at times I think Devin doesn't see that. He's not as instinctual as Levante David. Sometimes it's reading your keys, it's being, better prepared. And I think Devin has said that he needs to work on that as well. So I think all the things that he needs to work on and the way he needs to play in a more controlled explosion, as John Wooden used to say, right? Be quick, but don't be in a hurry, or something to that effect. And that's what you have to be in that position. So I think his game can certainly take a huge jump up. All right, we're going to hear from Lenny a little bit later on in the show. Greg Auman coming up at 10:45. We'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk some Braves baseball. Big win last night. We're brought to you by Emerging Investigations. In our first hour, emerginginv.com. You can go to their website and get in touch with them. They are the #1 Tampa Bay private investigation agency. So if you're having issues with your spouse, an employee, or a criminal matter, or trying to locate somebody, they have the expertise and the technology to find them for you and get you great results. It's Emerging Investigations, emerginginv.com. Go to their website, give them a call. It's a free call, and they'll tell you how the process works. When we come back, we'll talk some Braves baseball. Stay with us.
Let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Military veterans, are you struggling with alcoholism or substance abuse? Is it taking a toll on your relationships and your work life? Are you having trouble focusing, constantly anxious? Well, you may not be surprised to know that your fellow military vets have your six. Heroes Mile is a new concept in rehabilitation clinics, veterans helping veterans. At Heroes Mile, we staff our rehab center with fellow veterans who can understand what you're going through. Our mission is to help you heal from issues that only your fellow veterans can truly understand. Located just outside of DeLand, we offer a full range of inpatient and outpatient programs dealing with substance abuse, post-traumatic stress, and military sexual trauma. We choose to serve veterans because we know how complex these issues are. You could choose to fight the battle alone or win the war together. We are the community care provider with the VA and also accept most major insurance. At Heroes Mile Rehabilitation Center, we have your six. Go to heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. That's heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. JP here for Italiano Insurance. If you've started a side hustle during COVID and the business has grown, well, you need business insurance because if you get sued, you could lose all your personal wealth if you're not properly protected. That's right. Your home, your savings, everything could go. So get protected now. Call the great agents at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799, and a real human will answer the phone and get you protected. If you haven't shopped your business insurance in a while, you could be overpaying by thousands. One customer had their golf buddy handling his business insurance, then called Italiano to shop it around, and they saved him $26,000 a year. Yeah, so call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Italiano Insurance, protecting all the pieces of your life for over 60 years.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. We're brought to you by Emerging Investigations, Emerging INV, Tampa Bay's #1 private investigation agency. We're going to hit the Rays right now. Big win last night, 8-4. And once again, this is the second time in maybe a week and a half that the starter was not available. By the way, Shane McClanahan threw per Trisha Whitaker, 15 to 20 pitches yesterday and reported no pain whatsoever. That is fantastic news. That is great news. So whatever they did, the rest that they gave him worked, and they expect him to throw again another couple days and then be in the lineup. That is insane news right there for Shane McClanahan. Now, by no means is he out of the woods. Let's get another 100-pitch outing in him and see how he reacts to that. But these impingement things happen all the time. You got loose bodies. You pitch as much as these guys did, and he had Tommy John, I think, years and years ago. So as much wear and tear as these guys go through, these things happen, and hopefully you just you get a cortisone shot, the swelling goes down, and boom, you're back out there and you're good to go. So let's hope that's going on with Shane McClanahan and
Glasnow tonight.
Right?
Glasnow tonight in Durham. Wander Franco is also back in the lineup tonight. He should be. I think he took 40, 50 swings. I think I saw no pain, so he should be back in the lineup tonight. So probably a well-attended game in Durham, I'm guessing, tonight.
Probably more than the Trop.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But that's good news. It seems like maybe if all goes well, we should get Wander back for this Yankee series. And Tyler Glasnow, I'm sure he's going to be down there for a couple weeks, maybe 3. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But it's just good to see him get out of there after an inning or two, maybe whatever it is, without an injury, a setback. Just pray for the best.
I'm sure you could watch the Durham Bulls online, right? I'm sure there's some type of streaming.
Oh, I think so.
Going on there. If
There's
you want to watch a
definitely.
little Glasnow,
I might tune in if the Rays are.
Is he starting? Probably it would start him.
I think he's starting.
Right?
Yeah,
Good warm up.
Because I have confidence the Rays are going to put the Red Sox to bed tonight.
Oh, really?
Yes,
quickly.
I'm pretty confident in that the Red Sox are going nowhere. They're dead in the water. The Rays are the hottest team in baseball right now, probably outside of the Braves. Maybe them and the
7
Braves.
of 8, 18 of 23.
There you go.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now 4.5 back of the Yankees, who were rained out last night.
Yep.
Still 4 back in the loss column. Oh, it could have been. They should be. They could be dead even with them. They win that game on Sunday, and they win that game. They gave up the grand slam. They'd be dead even, or virtually even with the Yankees. I still think they can catch them.
I think they can.
Yeah, as the way the Yankees are playing or not playing. I haven't really looked at the Yankees schedule, but we got 3 this weekend. So go out and win them.
Rays just got to worry about what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's as simple as it goes. And the way the Yankees offense has just been so stagnant and so reliant on Aaron Judge. And the Rays, again, contributions from everybody last night. 13 hits, all up and down the lineup. Guys that are all hot at the same time. Randy Arozarena, my goodness, what a game for him last night. Francisco
3-run homer to get
yeah.
things going, his 19th of the year. It looks like he's going to post back-to-back 2020 seasons. Christian Bethancourt is just pounding the baseball. Yu Chang last night with a home run.
with a homer. Harold
Ramirez.
Ramirez.
Nice defensive plays. Barrel Ramirez with a 2-run single.
Yandy continues to be hot. Yandy's hitting 420 or something over his past 2.5, 3 weeks of baseball. I mean,
you got a little Barrel Ramirez.
Outstanding.
2-run single.
Yeah, we'll get the Harold Ramirez here.
Valley Sports Sun.
Valley Sports Sun.
Them.
This came shortly after the Randy Arozarena 3-run home run, which we played earlier.
Yes.
Drive punched into left. Here comes Margot to score. Rosarena heads to the plate. Throw cut off. The run scores. Ramirez caught in a rundown, and he is tagged out. But he drives in both Margot and Rosarena. And the Rays, again, have a 3-run lead. It's 5-2. 2-run.
Yeah, I'll eat a little crow on Barrel Ramirez. I didn't say he was a bad player, but I didn't think he would have the impact that he's had this year. Is he leading the American League in batting now?
He still doesn't qualify for it. I don't know what it takes for him to qualify.
Well, the numbers keep moving up, and what are his splits? I mean, he doesn't hit much against right-handers, does he? Or has he?
I mean, he's kind of at the point now where
got this hit up. Yeah.
He's been in the lineup almost every single night. You need him in there.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure why he's not qualified yet, but he's right on the verge.
Well, he had the injury. He had the injury. It knocked him out a little bit.
Yeah. So he has been freaking tremendous. What do we got? The Bethancourt?
Yeah, and then here was the Bethancourt.
Listen to the sound this thing makes. Bomb.
I think that early in the season.
What a shot off the bat of Bethancourt, and that baby got out of here in a hurry. Home run on the 1-1 pitch. Bethancourt hits a hot shot liner to And the Rays tack on another run.
A somewhat disappointing crowd, but once again, Tiki Deck tickets, $30 before ticket. The cheapest ticket, $30 before fees. That's after your $20 soaking and parking. Any decent seat, like just past, heading to the outfield, just past the dugout. What was it, $65? $60?
Yeah.
So for a Tuesday night game, with
I
the
can't
Red Sox.
spend that. Listen,
Nobody's going to spend that for a Tuesday night game. Come on.
I told you that I had no problem with the Yankee tickets. That was different, in my opinion. This might be the Red Sox, but these aren't the Red Sox, if that makes sense.
No.
And
Red Sox fans aren't coming to see them.
Red Sox fans, they don't come to see these games anymore. The Red Sox are no longer a draw. They need to stop acting like the Red Sox are this premium game, because I've been to like 5 or 6 Red Sox games in the past 6 years, and there's never anybody there.
Yeah, Boston is our bitch. They don't want the Red Sox fans don't want to show up.
Or maybe they're moving out of the area, which.
I mean, they're just tired of going to games in Tampa and getting their ass kicked.
Yeah, that's true.
And watching Tom Brady win championships and everything else, it's got to be tough for Boston fans. It really does.
It is.
I almost feel for you, Southies, but not that much.
How do you think they feel when you tell them that Tom Brady, when he goes in the Hall of Fame, he's going to be wearing a Buck? He's going to be in a Buck uniform, not a Patriot one.
Would that Bill Belichick would he would definitely not move on to Cincinnati after that. That would hurt him. Probably wouldn't. I don't think he has a heart.
No.
All right, so let's listen into Kevin Cash post-game chatting about his team that is just freaking red hot. What do you got, Cash?
It's nearly everybody in the lineup contributing, jumping on the Red Sox right away. I guess, was it nice to just have a night like that and see it all around?
Yeah, it was. Awesome start. You're not going to get a better start. 3 batters in, you're up 3-0. And we probably did right by ourselves, not letting Rich get settled in. We saw how good he can be when he gets on a roll. But I'd like to think we made some adjustments. We were ready, and we squared some balls up early on.
And then Randy Arozarena certainly squared a ball up early on. He's 1 home run and 3 stolen bases shy of a 20-30 season. Just how remarkable, I guess, is that, and just the way he's been playing lately?
Yeah, he's really been playing well lately. Look, special player, special talent, can do a lot of things on the baseball field, and like that he's certainly feels like he's trending in the right direction here recently. He's had some big games here against Boston.
And then the bullpen, just Clevenger, Fauché, Raley, Adam. What'd you see from them?
Yeah, they did a great job. Raley, we probably don't talk about Brooks Raley enough. He's so good, so reliable, so efficient. And everybody else in there came in and did their part. It was a little bit of a mad dash today. The guys knew that it was going to be kind of a creative bullpen day, and just appreciate the workload of everybody that we were able to get through the ball game.
I think in that situation, they almost kind of draw on that, knowing that, it is a scramble. They were expecting Rasmussen to start. He was probably going to go deep in the game.
Yeah, I think that they know they're a talented group. They stick together, and they I feel like they do kind of feed off each other in some of those circumstances that aren't ideal. They want to embrace and make the most of it, and they did today.
Gotcha. And then I know Yanni was down there. was there not a slot, or you didn't want to pitch him? Or?
Yeah, look, he was more of today he was kind of back of the line length. And then we'll see how tomorrow unfolds.
When you get news or wake up to news like you did today, do you start thinking right away how you're going to get through a game like this pitching wise?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Between Eric and I and Kyle, we're talking pretty early in the morning. But had a good sense that we were in good enough shape to be able to kind of piece it together.
Good to see the add-on runs late too. Just given.
Yeah, and given how good Boston's offense can be when they get going, to be able to add them on, use home run, Betancourt's home run, so big swings right there.
Kevin, you're used to this anyway, using the opener type thing so often. When you get an emergency day like today, it doesn't really matter too much to those guys, does it?
Well, I think we're fortunate our bullpen has the reps in it, so that certainly helps. That they are, I'd like to think, maybe a little bit more prepared than other bullpens, but just appreciate how they go about their business.
Kevin, that was a heck of a double play in the top of the 6th.
Wow,
started by Chang off of Bogart's bat and squashed the potential rally.
It was a huge play. Walsey's been so good for us all season long. He's a special defender. To have a guy come in, fill in, and make that type of play that was Walsey-esque, and it was really, really impressive. Great turn by Isak and a great receive by Betancourt. Yep.
A nice all-around game, and the Rays showing their versatility last night with the bullpen stepping up, all the different people chiming in there with hits, 13 hits.
Yeah, I was going to say shout out to Drew Rasmussen and for having I believe his baby was born.
Yeah, Rhett
was born last night, and the Rays again. That comes last minute, and again, how many teams are able to withstand that and thrive through it?
I saw the picture, very odd. Came out with a full red beard.
Full red beard, huh?
Full red beard. Rhett did, yeah. He's ready to go, just like that. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Greg Auman of The Athletic will join us, and he's got his preseason Bucs predictions out today at The Athletic, so we will decipher that with the great Greg Auman when we return. Stay with us.
JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT-3228. Get is added to your policy, and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or italianoinsurance.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Emerging Investigations. EmergingINV.com is their website, Tampa Bay's #1 private investigation agency. Check them out at emerginginv.com. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Greg Auman from The Athletic, who has penned, I guess you would call this the preseason preview with predictions and everything. Very good read on The Athletic. Highly recommend that. I believe I just retweeted that. Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Hey, doing well, JP. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So we've seen all the rosters, the roster cut down. We've seen all of preseason. We're ready to go against the Cowboys. You did a great preview this morning, so we'll just kind of rip through that a little bit. And I think everybody knows that the offensive line, especially the interior, is the biggest question mark. And some interesting quotes you had in there from AQ Shipley. Tell me a little bit about how you think this interior offensive line will perform not only against Dallas, but this season.
Yeah, I think it's one of the, I guess I'm kind of in the middle in that I don't think it's quite the house on fire scenario that some people are painting nationally, but it'll be a drop off from last year. I mean, there's 2 Pro Bowlers they had last year that aren't there between Ali Marpet and Ryan Jensen. So I mean, I think they had drafted players with the intention of replacing both those guys at some point, and they just have to see how ready Robert Hainsey and Luke Gedeke are. And I think it'll be a different answer in December than it is in September. They just have to be able to kind of push through the growing pains of having 2 young starters in the middle of that unit, at least the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, and when I look at the interior offensive line, I think the reason the Bucs are saying we can do this is because of the guy behind it, right? Tom Brady and his ability to read pre-snap and just get the ball out. Talk a little bit about that dynamic.
I really think so. I mean, you go back, it's like their sack totals in terms of what they gave up, dropped a ton going from Jameis Winston to Tom Brady. And it's not necessarily that Tom is some amazingly elusive scrambler. I just think he has 23 years of perfecting his internal clock to know, that point at which he has to kind of, make a decision, either throw it or throw it away or move on to the next down. And I don't think every quarterback has that. So as much as there's a pressure on the offensive line that you're guarding a 7-time Super Bowl champ, I think he makes their life easier every week just by knowing where things are, coordinating the blocking with the linemen on every play to know what's coming and what to expect, and then just reacting quicker than a defense can to get rid of it. So, I mean, they got to him last year, but I mean, that even by Brady standards, I think it was the lowest sack percentage of any season he's had in his NFL career. So I think the personnel they had last year worked really well, even under those great circumstances.
And we spent so much time, obviously, talking about the Bucs offensive line. But for this game in particular against Dallas, we know Tyron Smith's not going to be in there. And we know Tyler Smith is likely going to be the guy there at left tackle, the rookie, who, albeit a first-round pick, it is a rookie. And it's a welcome to the NFL moment, Sunday Night Football against the Buccaneers. Is that, you think, maybe the biggest mismatch of the game is those two tackles, Tyler Smith and Terrence Steele, with Shaq Barrett and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and Carl Nassib and the others?
It's definitely an opportunity. I mean, in terms of, Dallas for so many years was the most vaunted offensive line in the league, and they've lost some personnel. They've taken some injuries. They've got Jason Peters at age 40, parachuting in to help out, kind of like Richard Sherman did with the corners here last year. And I think, there's definitely, if there's a sudden opportunity to be exploited with an offensive line in this game, it might be on the Dallas side, just because the Bucs have had basically a month to figure out life without Ryan Jensen. I mean, that happened on the second day of camp. That literally happened in July. So they've had 6 weeks to get used to Hainsey being their center. I think losing Aaron Stinney was probably made to be a bigger deal than it is, just because I don't know that he was intended to be the starter. I think if you draft a guy and trade up to get a guy in the second round, you do that thinking you need the starter. So they're young, and they're definitely completely new in the interior in terms of all three interior linemen. But I think this is something they've kind of been bracing for and ready for since, at least since Allie got retired, and especially with a more urgency since they lost Ryan Jensen.
Greg Auman joining us here for The Athletic, covering the Bucs. What's your take on if Chris Godwin plays this week? My guess is no, because everybody else is healthy in the wide receiver core, and that won't be the case for the entire season, obviously. I think they have a luxury to, even though I think he could play, I think they have the luxury to wait. How do you think this is going to go?
That, if I had to guess right now, I would say you're right. I would say he does not. I mean, they've been so careful and measured in every step of the way, in him being at practice but just doing individual work, and then being in 7-on-7, and then being in full squad with a non-contact jersey, and then just Monday shedding his knee brace for the first time. And these are all, very carefully calculated steps. He's well ahead of most ACL recovery schedules just to be having a conversation about him for Sunday this week. So my instinct is that with Russell Gage here, with Julio Jones here, I think they can feel good about the position without him this week. I think the first question is like, do you need him? Is this like an absolute need to have him to beat Dallas on Sunday? And I think, he would definitely help them. I just think there's still a risk involved. And it's kind of like every week you can buy him to strengthen that knee, to be more confident in himself, is a good week. So it could be that this has been his motivation for the last 9 months, is to get there and be there in week 1. And he wants to do it, and if he's cleared, that'll certainly be the case. But I do think they've been so smart and so careful in how they've brought him back that it would be okay if it wasn't a week 1 thing. And they have the personnel to kind of facilitate that.
Exactly. And, why not use that depth when you can? Greg Auman joining. Of course, you always come up with these great nuggets that sets the internet on fire. This morning was the Bucs have the oldest roster in the NFL at 27.5. And even if Brady would not, I think you said it would still be a top 5 in term I think that's positive. Many might think it's a negative. Where do you come down on this?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I mean, I think this is them being able to bring in experienced guys that don't have rings and want one.
Yeah.
And Brady obviously leads the list. I mean, it cracked me up in that, like, you think about their off season, and Steve McClendon was 36 and he's gone, and Ndamukong Suh was 35 and he's gone, and Gronk retired for a second time at 33. Jason Pierre-Paul is gone, and they're still the oldest team in the NFL. So yeah, I think it's it's funny because last year they dealt with so many injuries. It really wasn't the old guys that got injured in general. A lot of these young DBs that are 23, 24, they can still get hurt. It's like you be injury prone when you're 32 or 33. So so much of it's just being healthy. I think the guys that they do have, some of the guys they have missed time with injuries. Akeem Hicks missed time last year. Julio Jones has missed a decent chunk of the last 2 years. So some of that gamble on bringing in an older player is just hoping that you can keep them healthy and they can take care of themselves and avoid the injuries that are more likely the longer you're playing.
I'm guessing, Greg, that you get a lot of questions about guys like Godwin, will he play, will not, from the fantasy folks all around the web. And I think Rachaad White is one of those guys that I think we drafted him, on our team, that I think is probably getting a lot of attention, or a lot of people asking you about him, because I think a lot of us feel like he's going to be the number 2 guy. Even though I think Keyshawn Vaughn had a great preseason, where do you go on in terms of snaps and effectiveness in terms of fantasy for Rachaad White and maybe some of these younger players?
Yeah, a lot of the interest, outside the market in your team is going to be fantasy related.
Right.
So we're constantly getting questions. Hey, who's the best fantasy value in the Bucs? Who's the sleeper on the Bucs? And I think in part because the receivers have such depth that it's really hard to know how Evans and Godwin and Gage and Jones are going to split 30 touchdowns between them, if you will. That for me, even before camp started, I really thought Rachaad White was kind of the best value from a fantasy standpoint on this team. Anticipating that, with Vaughn and Bernard being guys that are back, but not necessarily overwhelming players, they drafted him high. They took him in the 3rd round. They really like him. And he's kind of made good on that so far. I mean, I think the single caveat I keep throwing out is that we don't really know how great he is in pass protection, and that will be the ultimate kind of gatekeeper of when he gets on the field and how much he gets on the field. But I mean, that depth chart came out Monday, and he's the number 2 back on there, which says they have a lot of confidence in him. I think he's looked good in preseason, and they rave about him. I mean, we did a story earlier this week where I talked to Herm Edwards, who was his coach at Arizona State. I talked to his coach in JUCO and his coach in high school, and there's always been a sense of great potential to him, and he's only played, it's 15 games of major college football. I mean, if you look at the top 10 backs in this draft, all the rest of them had at least 32 games in major college football. He had 15, so it's half as much. So I think there's just a little bit more feeling of upside and not yet reaching his peak. That has people excited, even though you have Leonard Fournette, who's getting paid well and should very much be the primary back in this offense.
Greg Auman joining us from The Athletic. You mentioned special teams in your article, and I know it's been diminished a little bit because of the lack of returns, kickoff returns, and punt returns.
Yeah.
But I still think it's an issue for the Buccaneers. They've just not been good in that situation. I think the most important thing is they got a kicker you can count on and suck up. And when it comes to special teams, that's always going to be the most important thing. But after that, there's concern. Is it that big a deal?
I think it is. I mean, there's not many areas on this team that you'd say are like the bottom half of the league,
right?
And you could probably make a good case that special teams was last year. Kicking was okay, punting was not good, returns were almost non-existent.
Right.
Their kick coverage wasn't great. So you put a 4th round pick into Jay Camarda, that's definitely showing the importance of special teams. They'll be better there. To have a kicker with a punter with a stronger leg, though, you have to have good coverage.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just setting up big returns for the other teams. And they kind of saw that in the preseason a little bit, where Camarda would have a 63-yard punt, which is great. But if they have a 35-yard return on that 63-yard punt, it's no better than a 35-yard punt. So I do think, they've got some new faces on coverage units that probably will have Rachaad White on kickoff returns, which adds a new element there. If Darden is the same guy he was last year, he won't last very long on punt returns.
Yeah.
So no, I think there's definitely that's probably the area, aside from getting healthy on defense, probably the area they can be the most improved at. We just don't know if they will.
All right, last question for you. What's your pick in terms of win total? Vegas has the Bucs at 11.5. I've gone under because I think the schedule is just ridiculously hard. And the quarterbacks they're playing are so good in this league. You know, it doesn't matter how good you are. So many games are 7-point games. So I'm going to say 11 or 10 wins. I think they can easily get to 12. But if I have to make a call, and I think it's a tough one, I'm going to say I'm going to go under at 11. What's your thoughts?
I'm a little bit more optimistic right now, and obviously that starts with them staying healthy. But I tend to kind of oscillate between 12 and 13 wins right now. These first 4, again, at Dallas, at New Orleans, home against the Packers and the Chiefs, are a really tough 4 to where they could be 2-2 in these first 4 games and still be a really good team that's, you know, competing for that over, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, and the bigger question is where are they seated in the NFC? And that they could be, we had to do picks yesterday for the piece that came out today, and I had them at 13-4, and I honestly don't know if 13-4 gets you the top seed in the NFC. In that, you know, the winner of that Rams-Packers game is going to be in pretty good position to be at maybe 13-14 wins. So the single, I think they have the NFC South to win right now. I think they're better than the Saints. I think the Saints can be a playoff team.
Yeah.
But for me, the whole deal is where do you line up compared to the Rams and Packers? Mm-hmm. And are you having to go to Lambeau like they did 2 years ago in the playoffs? Are the Rams coming here, or are you going to Los Angeles? Those are the questions that are big swings in the playoffs. And if you look at Tom Brady's history, his normal path to get to a Super Bowl is not to go on the road. It's to be at home. And obviously that didn't work last year, but it makes life a lot easier if you're trying to pull off a big run.
He is Greg Auman. He's the best in the business. Check him out on Twitter. Also, I think I just retweeted Bucs 2022 season preview, 5 questions that will determine their level of success. I think he just told all of them to you right now, but it's a great read. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate your time as always. Thanks, buddy.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right. See you in Dallas. It's man, I can't wait to get to Dallas. I can't wait to I might get there like 4 hours early. Like when are they letting the press in? I'm just going to walk around the stadium.
So you're not going as a fan then. You're going to be as a media.
I'm going as
You've
media.
had your fix as a fan.
Yeah, we're going to do a pregame show. We'll give you we're partnering with DSP Media in Dallas to do a little pregame show. They've just built a really, really nice studio there. So we're going to do a little pregame hit from Dallas. I'll give you all the particulars tomorrow. And then I'm going to get over there real early and give you kind of a tour of the stadium and the whole nine.
Have you? And I forgot. Have you been to the stadium, or you haven't been to the press?
Been to the stadium. I've been as a fan a couple times. FSU, Oklahoma State.
Gotcha.
With Cullen many years ago. Was that 2017? I think maybe 2015. Yeah. Long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago. Was there for Super Bowl. When was that? Their first Super Bowl. Was that 10? 11?
Yeah, that was the one with Steelers and Packers, I believe.
Yeah.
That was in 10.
Yeah, where it iced over. The whole Dallas was iced over. You couldn't drive. In fact, I think they had a big ice thing that fell off the roof and either killed somebody or hurt somebody. Yeah, it was a debacle of a Super Bowl in Dallas. But the stadium is amazing. But I have not been there as a media member.
And I'm going to imagine it's similar to how it is at the Superdome, where it's like 7 stories up or something.
It's way bigger than the Superdome. Like the Superdome, and they just redid it. It's still a crap hole. It's not good.
It looks odd on the outside. Like there's no character to it.
It's not good.
We've had this discussion with indoor stadiums before. So many of them just like lack any type of character or personality.
Yeah.
That one really just looks like a building. It's just like a warehouse building.
Well, it's got that curvature.
It's so dark.
It's very dark inside, except on the field. The seats are so packed in, so close together. You can't even have cup holders. It's not a great stadium. And in New Orleans is just, it's so bad. It's so smelly, so nasty, so dirty. It's awful. I mean, I'm sorry. The food is great. Some of the people are cool, but you walk around there and you do not feel safe. You do not feel. I think they're down like half their police force. You don't feel. People and locals will tell you do not go on Bourbon Street at night. It's just not the place it used to be. It could be a wonderful place. It could be amazing. The architecture, the music, the food, it's incredible. But that city is it's run like shit. I mean, it's terrible. It's a shame that because I used to go back there in the 80s and 90s and it wasn't it wasn't clean by any, but it wasn't like it is now. I mean, there's just homeless people everywhere. They're very aggressive. It's the smell. There's trash everywhere. There is just literally trash everywhere on Bourbon Street. The potholes. Oh my God. They must have just in the sidewalk, there'll be like little sewer things, like maybe a foot or like this, like just holes going down like 3-4 feet that there's no top on it. Like you could just step down in it and break your ankle. I swear to you, they must have a law in New Orleans that you can't sue the city if you hurt yourself walking. I guarantee you that. I'd have to look it up because there's no way. You literally have to walk around like at night when you're drunk. There must be, I don't know, 25 broken legs and ankles a day because it's everywhere. It's bad. I ain't gonna sugarcoat. So I've been to LA for the Super Bowl. Same thing, same exact thing. Just horrible, dirty, nasty, homeless people everywhere. And I feel for the homeless people, but I mean, you're talking about there's things we can do for them, right? There's things that we can do for them. And in New Orleans, and it's horrible. And the way these cities are run now, it's a shame. It really is. People, it's almost now come to a point where you just don't feel safe. God bless Tampa. I mean, when I came home and we're driving on the streets of Tampa and, St. Petersburg this morning, my God, do we live in a paradise? I'm serious. We live in a freaking paradise compared to some of these cities that I've been to recently. Just absolutely horrific. And I hope we never go down that road that some of these other cities are going down. And luckily, I think with our governor, we'll be just fine. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we got a great 11 o'clock hour coming up. TJ Rives at 11:15 and Corey Long, my man Corey Long. Can't wait to talk to TJ, and Corey Long and I are going to go at it about Florida State and Florida and USF. He's great on college football. We might even sneak in a little Lightning. He covers the Lightning as well. So great 11 o'clock hour coming up. Quick break. Stay with us.
Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida. Military veterans, are you struggling with alcoholism or substance abuse? Is it taking a toll on your relationships and your work life? Are you having trouble focusing, constantly anxious? Well, you may not be surprised to know that your fellow military vets have your six. Heroes Mile is a new concept in rehabilitation clinics, veterans helping veterans. At Heroes Mile, we staff our rehab center with fellow veterans who understand what you're going through. Our mission is to help you heal from issues that only your fellow veterans can truly understand. Located just outside of DeLand, we offer a full range of inpatient and outpatient programs dealing with substance abuse, post-traumatic stress, and military sexual trauma. We choose to serve veterans because we know how complex these issues are. You could choose to fight the battle alone or win the war together. We are the community care provider with the VA and also accept most major insurance. At Heroes Mile Rehabilitation Center, we have your six. Go to heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW2. That's heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW2.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by, in our second hour, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. They've got a special going on now, $100 off of their diet and weight loss plans. So great time to get over there, BAMMC.com. Just give them a call, go to the website, give them a contact. You can email them and get in there. It's a great time. We had Dr. Lugo on last week or a couple of weeks ago, and he's talking about their weight loss plans. There's so many people out there, chiropractors and other folks that are, doing these shots, and it's quick fix. They work on a quick basis. You'll lose some weight and gain right back, and the yo-yo effect is not good for your heart. Do it the right way with BAMMC.com. They've got injections that will work for you as well, but also going to monitor your intake, get your blood levels, do everything on a personal basis. Everybody metabolizes medicines, supplements, food differently. So you can't do a one size fits all for anything, especially losing weight. And BAMMC.com, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, that's what they do. Everything is personalized just for you. And that's the way you need to go. That's the most effective way to do it. So get the latest methods, the latest technologies, the latest information. Chris works with our National Guard, keeps our pilots in tip-top shape. He can do the same for you. So go to BAMMC.com and set up an appointment. And please tell him JP sent you.
Hey, real quick, because I'm just scrolling through here on Twitter and I saw this, and before I forget it, this just seems really cool. And let me know if you feel the same. The Mariners tonight are hosting their first ever work from the ballpark game today.
Oh, how?
$50 ticket, fans seated, and the Hit It Here Cafe will have Wi-Fi/power access for their laptop and receive a catered lunch during the game.
So you get food, a lunch.
You get food, lunch,
ticket, Wi-Fi access, a seat.
Yes.
In the nice cafe.
For $50.
So lunch alone in Seattle is going to run you $20-25.
Yes.
A decent lunch. So you get that extra and all that accoutrement.
Yeah.
And
I think it's just damn cool. I'm not gonna lie.
For $35, you can get the tiki bar with none of that at the Trop. And that's a real stadium.
And a $16 Mick Ultra that's lukewarm.
Lukewarm, yeah. So really catering to the public, the Rays aren't they? With these really wonderful specials that they have.
It's a cool idea, though.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea. And, the Rays talking about their new stadium, being, a place where people can use it 365 days a year, and be able to walk through and do work from there, go have lunch there and blah, 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 and do the same during the game. There's so much you can do with stadiums these days. Put a sports book in it, and by the way, the latest on the stadium, we haven't heard a whole lot, but I think it's status quo right now. September. So next week, next Wednesday is the hearing where the judge will decide if the lawsuit is going to go forward with a jury trial. And we talked to Christopher Palermo about this, and I really need to get back with him, circle back with him, because he was going to look at some of the pleadings in the case and tell me where he thinks it's going. But he's told us on the air and privately that, and the information I'm getting from the partners, have a conduit to the partners, is that they feel very confident about this case, that it's going to go forward to a jury trial. And if it does, what that means, discovery, that means depositions for Stu Sternberg, is all of his financial dealings will become public record. And again, there's no way that MLB is going to allow that to happen. And that will force his hand in some way, I think, to either sell the team or to do something dramatic to get this case settled with the partners. And the partners are dead set against anything except his removal as managing general partner. So I know a lot of people have dismissed this as a frivolous case. It's anything but. It's anything but. It should be getting a tremendous amount of media attention. But for some reason in this town, it does not. The Times virtually ignores it. Maybe, perhaps Stu Sternberg is one of those folks that have given the Times lots of money to stay afloat because they could not stay afloat just by the general market. They've been loaned tens of millions of dollars. I think they've paid some of it back, but there's a lot of money that they've received. I don't know if, some people believe that Stu is part of that. I don't know, but whatever it is, this should be getting a lot more coverage than it is. And, hopefully it'll come to a head next week. Now it's not going to be the hearing, but it's going to be something close to it. All right, let's take a quick break. We got TJ Rives waiting in the backstage. I'll say it that way. And so quick break. We'll get TJ on. We'll talk some more Bucs when we come back. Stay with us.
Time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com.
Hi, my name is Mike Warner, a Navy vet. I've had problems with addictions throughout the many decades. Something saved my life, and that is the Heroes Mile program.
Hi, I'm Bill Lennox, retired Lieutenant General, United States Army. If you have any challenges in alcohol, drug, if you have PTSD, MST, think about Heroes Mile.
Heroes Mile, a recovery center for veterans by veterans. Call 1-888-VET-NOW2 to learn more or visit heroesmile.com.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by American Mortgage Services and Bay Area Modern Medical Center in our second hour. We've got a great new loan program over there at American Mortgage Services. Scott Fitzgerald, saw him this weekend in NOLA. He wasn't working this weekend in New Orleans, as far as I know, but he will be working today, setting up your mortgage or your refinance. They've got a great new program depending on where you're buying, if you're refining, what your address is. It's a government program where they're trying to spur some investment in certain areas. You can get a loan up to $640,000 for less than the going rates, no money down. There are some conditions, so check it out. If you're in the refi or looking for a new property, you got to give them a call to see if your home qualifies, because it can save you tens of thousands of dollars on your mortgage, if not more. So give him a call. Just contact him, Scott@amstampa.com. Email him. Tell him you heard it on the JP Show, and he'll get right back to you. All right, let's bring in our good friend TJ Rives, Bucs sideline guy. Right? It's almost game day, my friend. We're headed to Dallas. I will see you there in the big D. What's up, my friend?
Is that a warning or is that an invitation? I'm not sure which that is.
It's both. It's both.
Okay, good.
It's both.
Is the town big enough for both of us? I think it is. It's a big
Everything's
area.
bigger in Texas, baby.
Yeah, everything is absolutely bigger in Texas.
I told her. Yeah.
And I have been told they are amped with a capital A for this. It may be the wildest, toughest ticket they've had for a regular season game at AT&T Stadium. I was told yesterday they're going to open that plaza for standing room only. And they're going to have literally like between something like 8 and 10,000, maybe more, on the plaza at the one end that are in standing room. Which you talk about mosh pit, ultimate cowboy. How about them Cowboys mosh pit?
It's going to be a rootin' tootin' good time.
Yeah. So there is going to be some scene, because the understanding again is this is likely Tom Brady's last time in there, barring a trip in there potentially for the playoffs, let's say in January. You don't know. You don't say for sure. What about a 2023 season? We don't know any of those things. But that's why, and there's been so much buildup, and it's the first game, and it's a Sunday night game. This is apparently a tough ticket on the secondary market. There are going to be some Buck fans there. I was talking to some Buck fans that are going that have their tickets and have been trying to secure tickets. Have you been in there, by the way? Have you been in AT&T Stadium?
I've been as a fan a couple of times.
Have you sat way up in the top? Because Buccaneer fans that are going have to understand that if you are, as I like to call it, up by Jesus in the 900 level or the 1100 level or the 1500 level or whatever they call that, you're up there. So you're up there at Raymond James Stadium, but this is probably 50 or 100 feet more of up there in this place. Because the coolest thing is we're in the media level. On the near sideline, as you look at it on TV, the Cowboys are on the far sideline, always showing the Cowboy bench and their superstars on TV. But on the near sideline, as you look to the left at the one end, up in the upper level, the third level, there's a car dealership. There's a Ford dealership. And we've joked about this on your show. It is massive, and it's vertically probably a couple of levels of the stadium in the end zone. So it's a huge place, cavernous place, and it's going to be full. It's going to be loud. And here we go with game number one. What a setting! What a setting for game number one, my friend.
Boy, that was a nice setup right there, TJ Rives. You've done this before. I'm going to be in the press box for the first time. I've not been to their press box, and so I'll have a visiting media credential. So I'm planning on getting there before the mobs. Maybe checking out the tailgate scene a little bit.
Right.
Getting some video to send
now,
back.
Do you have a parking pass? I'm alerting you on this.
I've been told I have a parking pass.
Those are gold. You are in great shape because I know that for some of the media, they don't get a parking pass. And the two words that go along with that are tough luck because now, you think that you pay a jacked amount to park in the official lots in and around Raymond James Stadium. We've seriously been there, and I've been there for events like the College Football Playoff Championship game with Oregon and Ohio State. When Urban Meyer and Ohio State won it, that was the first year of the playoff. I've been there for the Final Four. I've been there for Buccaneer games. Yeah. I know of this. They will regularly charge $125, $150, $175 to park close to that stadium. So those that are whining and complaining about a $50 parking charge or 60 or 70, just be aware of what you might encounter in and around AT&T Stadium. So
it says Uber it up, boys. It'd be like 5 times normal prices for it. It ain't cheap to be a Cowboys fan. That's why
correct.
Jerry Jones is a billionaire. Well, let's zero in a little bit on the game here, because I tell you what, TJ, I look at this Dallas roster, especially their offensive line. Their two young tackles with Tyron Smith going down. This does not look like a very good Cowboys team right now to me. I don't know how they answer what the Bucs are going to throw at them. Am I being too much of a homer here?
Well, there's questions for both teams on the offensive line. We know that. We know that the Cowboys have just signed Jason Peters to play tackle for them, who was so anti-Dallas when he was playing for the Eagles. But, wait a minute, my career's almost over and you're going to pay me how much? Okay, how about them Cowboys? Let's sign up and go. Let's go play. So he is going to be in there. How effective will he be? He hasn't had much of training camp or preseason to get acclimated. We'll see. Clearly, we know this. We know that the Buccaneers' interior of the offensive line is a question mark. With Robert Hainsey there, having not played in regular season games as a center, Luke Goddard is apparently the starting left tackle, who's a rookie. There are question marks for both of these teams on the offensive line. Now, you can maybe make the argument that the Buccaneer defensive line is better and more disruptive, and I think that's kind of what you were implying.
Yes.
So that may be advantage Buccaneers in terms of their defensive line, the defensive line with Vita Vea, Akeem Hicks, and Shaq Barrett, and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, and now Logan Hall, the rookie, and everybody else that you throw into the mix on that front four or the front five and Todd Bowles' 3-4 defense. Anthony Nelson on the outside rushing the quarterback. That's better than what Dallas has. You could probably make that argument, and it's probably going to be a bigger challenge for the Cowboys.
Where do you think the atmosphere? We talked a lot about this. You've been in that stadium in terms of the noise. When I went as a fan, it was an FSU Oklahoma State game, so it has nothing like a Cowboys game.
Right.
So how deafening is it compared to Florida Field, Doak Campbell Stadium, Athens?
It's loud. They're all loud, and it's domed. And remember now, we have played them in the past with the roof open and with the roof closed. And my understanding is it will be open on Sunday night. So it's not the full dome effect. It's the old Dallas Cowboy. They were the originators back in the 70s at Texas Stadium with the open roof. And it was always so God could watch his favorite football team with that. So my understanding is the roof is going to be open. That may change, but it won't be as deafening reverberating off the roof. I've been in there when it's closed. When we played them in the Sunday night game in the 2016 season, that was December, the roof was closed. It was very loud. Obviously, we played them, I believe, in the 2018 season, and it was late in the year in December, and the roof was also closed there again for that game. When we played them in the preseason of 2019, the roof was open that night as well, and it was a preseason game, not as big a crowd. But it's loud. It is loud for the Cowboy fans, and if they do anything, it is going to be loud. It is going to be jacked because, again, they have celebrities like Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott and CeeDee Lamb, and these Cowboy fans have believed for like 30 years this is going to be their year to get back in the winner's circle here and win 25 years to win a Super Bowl. So they're going to be jacked, and anything they do, it will be loud, and it will be hard to hear when the Buccaneers have the ball, which is part of what your question was.
Yeah, and that's, where having an inexperienced center in Robert Hainsey comes in. One bad snap before Brady's ready and is not looking, which can happen, especially in an atmosphere like that. Those are big plays. We all feel that Hainsey has the physical ability. It's the mental part of it. Not that he's not smart. It's just experience, right? It's experience to get your first start on Sunday Night Football in an atmosphere like this. Even for a guy that played at Notre Dame, that's a lot to ask.
And it was vital that they got some work in on that opening drive in Indianapolis. That was not everything, but they got 8 or 9 plays on that drive for Brady to work with Hainsey, live fire against an opponent. And it was pretty loud. They weren't deafening loud at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, but at least he got a little bit of work there for that. And that's good for the Buccaneers. And now crank it up a couple of notches and get ready for the regular season because, keep in mind, you're now going to have disguised blitzes coming at you. You're now going to have Brady trying to change the play when nobody can hear, which is what you're talking about. How do you communicate that across the offensive line? They're having to work on all of that right now. And that will be a challenge for Hainsey. Anybody that believes that it, and I know you don't, but I'm just saying, anybody that believes that just because you did this in the preseason or just because you did this in college, that it's the same as stepping out in the NFL on the biggest stage, like a Sunday night game, it is not the same thing. So you may see a mistake or two. That's probably to be expected. You don't want to see more than a mistake or two, but you may see a mistake or two from Hainsey in this game.
That's going to happen. TJ Rives joining us here. All right. So give me your biggest fear and what you think the biggest positive is for the Bucs in this game.
If you're looking at the negative right away, it's Tom Brady getting hit early. And we know he's a different quarterback when that happens early in the game. So if he is getting hit, not just sacked, but hit early, it will affect him. Now, that being said, we saw in the Rams game, he was getting hit a bunch, getting sacked, getting hit early. He shook it off. They made an amazing comeback. It's not everything. It's not the whole game, but that's a real key for Dallas at home. If they're getting to him early, and I think, honestly, Byron Leftwich and the game plan, Brady with a lot of input will counteract that with a lot of short, one-step drop, get rid of the ball, screen pass, get rid of the ball, use the draw play if they're pinning the ears back and coming after you. There are some ways to counteract that. So, and I fully expect the Bucs will use some of that screen game, whether that's to Cameron Brate, whether that's to Leonard Fournette out of the backfield, the quick stand up and throw it to Scotty Miller if he's in the game. And I know we're going to get to another variable here, and that's Chris Godwin, because they love to use Godwin there as well, if that's the case. But getting the ball out of his hands is quick. And I think in terms of best case scenario here for the Buccaneers, get off to the fast start and get the lead. Get the crowd out of the game, get the lead. They've been very good about doing that over the last couple of years on the road. That's not everything again, but that's huge in this setting to go get a lead, get the crowd out of the game, and settle in to go play this thing.
Yeah, I think the key to this game for me is the Bucs defense, because I look at the I look at, if I'm Dallas, I look at this game and I'm saying, okay, I've got 2 tackles that are inexperienced. I can't sit Dak Prescott back here in a 7-step drop and read the field and let routes develop. I got inexperienced receivers. So I think it's quick game for them all day long. And I don't think they can run the football. I think they think they can try to establish a run in some way. I don't think they can run the football against the Buccaneers. I think the Bucs are more athletic now with Hicks in there and Tryon, who's going to be healthy. JPP, God bless him, he tried to play through a torn rotator cuff and wasn't great against the run. So I think his run defense is going to be better. I don't see how Dallas moves the ball. And if the Bucs can get an early turnover, forcing them to do some stuff, and it, like you said, take the crowd out of the game, I just don't see how Dallas scores more than 17 points in this game. What do you think?
And Ezekiel Elliott's a big question mark because he was playing with a partially torn knee ligament last year. Is he healthy? There are serious murmurs, whispers. Is he now on the backside of his career? Has he lost a half step? Is he not the same back as he was even 2 or 3 years ago? We don't know. But you're right. The Buccaneer run defense has been really good under Todd Bowles, and let's see if the run fits are there. I was looking for the stat while we were talking. I believe this is correct, that Dak Prescott in his 3 games with the Cowboys against the Buccaneers, including the regular season opener last Thursday, is right now at a completion percentage of over 80%, over 80% in the sample size of over 100 attempts. It is something like 79, maybe it's over 75%. It's like 79 of like 107 or something. It's a ridiculous completion percentage. And remember, he was brilliant at the beginning of that game last year. So disrupting him, take away the run game, disrupting him, that's going to be a big key. And as you mentioned, they don't have Amari Cooper there anymore. CeeDee Lamb is the featured receiver, and he's not that big. He's fast. Can Carlton Davis be physical with him? Can the other Cowboy receivers like Gallup and others be able to supplement and make a play? And can the Buccaneers put pressure on Dak Prescott and have him make errant throws, make errant passes in this game for Sunday night?
Yeah, I love the Bucs in this one. Maybe even the under as well. But I think this is a good spot for the Buccaneers. What does bother me is the atmosphere and an inexperienced offensive line. Those guys, maybe Luke Gedeke, God bless him. This ain't Central Michigan anymore.
We're not the MAC.
And this ain't right tackle, and this is left guard in AT&T Stadium with another guy getting his first start at center next to you. That's where the concern is. But that's why you got a Brady. He can mitigate those things by the way he gets rid of the ball. So we'll see. All right. So final thoughts on as you head to Dallas now. You've done a lot of these games. You've been around the team a little bit. As Greg Auman pointed out this morning, we have the oldest team in football. I think that's a positive. These guys aren't going to be rattled by this atmosphere, right?
You wouldn't think.
No.
But I think a big variable here too, and I know Nick has been communicating with me off the air, is can Chris Godwin give it a go? And is he mostly back? Is he 80% back? Is he all the way back? I do know this. I have been fielding so many fantasy football questions about his situation. I will confess right here on the FanStream JP show, I have Chris Godwin now in 2 fantasy leagues. I was able to get him like in the 11th round of one of the leagues here where there were a lot of doubters, I guess. He was still there in the 11th round of one of the leagues because there's injury question marks. And in this league in particular, they don't have as many bench spots, etc. So, but there are questions about this. Here's what I know. I know about his toughness, and I know they want him to run block. This is kind of maybe being undervalued or under publicized. They want him to run block. If we get to this weekend and you hear Todd Bowles saying he's active, we believe he can play, then that says to me they're confident he can stick his nose in there 10 times, 15 times, and go try to block a defensive end or a linebacker off the edge, bring him in motion to smash somebody on the end, which they love to do. So that's what we're looking at for his health and his situation. If he is active, then I think they're telling you everything about what they believe he can physically do, including blocking people at this position. There is no doubt They are a better team with him in the blocking scheme, in the run game. So I don't know how healthy he is to be able to do that. And maybe Buccaneer fans, if he's not active and he's not ready, then that's the same indication. They are concerned as we get to week 2 with New Orleans, week 3 with Green Bay. When can he be fully Chris Godwin in the run game, in blocking? Just keep an eye on that.
I don't think he's going to play because we have the luxury of not playing him. We're healthy receiver right now. That won't always be the case. I think it's one of the big reasons they brought Julio in for the beginning of the season, because eventually Julio will get nicked up. So I think
probably.
I think
what about the argument, if you're not healthy enough to play in week 1, how are you healthier 7 days later in New Orleans, or how are you healthier 13 days later at home with Green Bay? There is an argument to be made. How much healthier are you a week later, 13 days later? You got to try it at some point.
I think you do, and I think he could play if we had to have him. But if you have the luxury of depth, why not use it in this case? And Godwin has said, I want to be there for the second half of the season. We'll wait till you can get on the natural turf at home against Raymond James Stadium, and that will be your first test. So
because the first 2 games are on the field turf, that turf in Dallas is field turf, and we know in the Superdome it is. He's such a competitor, though.
Targeted him last time, so let's.
Well, that's correct, and I was just about to go there. Know the competitor in him wants a crack at the Saints, and he wants a crack at that guy. It's PJ Williams, right? That's the safety if he's still there. He wants a crack at that guy as well for submarining him right at his knee.
30 hit.
So the competitor in Chris Godwin wants to be out there. Now, what wins out on terms of the training staff and the total picture of, are you still going to be healthy midway through or at the end of the year, which we would all take? If he's not, to your point, if you're doing trade-offs, and let's make a deal here, if you're not playing the first week or 2 because you're bolstering that you're going to be a fully healthy Chris Godwin in late November and December, as a Buccaneer fan, you got to accept that and take that trade-off if that's what your trade-off is. But now we'll see.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Always good to chat with you. And I will let's break bread and have a beer in Dallas, my friend.
Let's do it. We will be there Saturday and Sunday night, and I'll be back on with you whenever you need me after this one is over with. It will not be dull. It will not be dull at AT&T Stadium. It should be something else. And Buck fans, we're excited about whatever this is about to be with Tom Brady at the helm. Here we go.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, TJ. Great stuff.
See you, boys.
Sideline. You can see him on Twitter right there. All right. We will come back with Corey Long from Walter Football, and covers the Lightning as well. Great on college football. One of the best experts around. He has always dogged me about FSU and Mike Norvell. I'm probably sure he'll dog Norvell some more. Deserves a little bit, but it'll be fun. Bay Area Modern Medical Center is our sponsor for the second hour of the show. We'll be back. Quick break with Corey Long. Talk some college football. Stay with us.
Hey guys, Serena Fazan here for the Golden Diamond Source. Are you looking for the hottest trends in men's jewelry? Ladies love to see men spice it up with something cool from the Golden Diamond Source. Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Golden Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or on
or GPS trackers. That can cause unneeded stress and give you inaccurate results. Go with the professionals at Emerging Investigations. We have proven results and tremendous testimonials from our satisfied customers. Call for a free consultation and we can discuss how we can help. Peace of mind is as valuable as bad news. Just go to our website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's emerginginv.com. We're Emerging Investigations. We get results in life's biggest matters.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rock. This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center. In our second hour, so excited to talk to Corey Long, who writes for Walter Football and also covers the Lightning for NHL.com. He's a multifaceted, eclectic man of mystery, we like to call him, the great Corey Long. What's up, brother? How are you?
All right, I'm good. I figured I'd hear from you yesterday, so I actually got another day of reprieve. So were you hanging around New Orleans a little longer than expected? A little overly excited?
Yeah, want to walk around and bathe in the glory on Monday. Walk down Bourbon Street with that beautiful urine wafting through the air. Just trying to carve your way through the trash on Bourbon Street, but say hello to your, just do the tomahawk chop as you walk by all your Knoll friends. I tell you what, you want to talk about an emotional roller coaster. I mean, we recovered that fumble right in front of me, by the way. We were like 15 rows up on about the 20-yard line, and game's over, right? We're all celebrating. Game's over, right? It's just, you go down there, score a touchdown or kick a field goal, run the timeout. This is easy.
As a fan of either team at that point, I'm packing up.
Yeah.
That's that time when you're not leaving, but you're packing up. You're checking around. You're
people
making sure
left.
you got all your.
Yeah. People left.
Yeah. I might not leave because I tend to like to be part of the post game celebration. But I would have at least when you're checking around to make sure that I have my wallet, that I lose anything, that I drop anything, everything's with me, so we can get ready to get out of here. Yeah. So
so let's just, before we get to the end of the game, which was a debacle for FSU. Just your overall thoughts on. I'm looking up there as the fourth quarter starts at the stats, and we have double the yardage that LSU has. The only thing they've done is had Jaden Daniels run the football. None of their plays really worked. It was a domination. Florida State dominated on both sides of the line of scrimmage, which surprised me. I'm like, wow, this is way better than I could ever dream it. I mean, you see the same one.
Yeah, I was texting with several people during the game, and I said, if you didn't, I felt like, I said, if I just didn't know the score, you're thinking this is a 20-point difference between the teams because, they were dominating the time of possession. It was a lot. I saw a lot of things that I hadn't seen out of Norvell at FSU in terms of the way they manage the game. And you know what? I'm going to credit Alex Atkins, a new OC who's an O-line coach, for trying to implement some of that, get physical, put themselves on a lot of third down and shorts, really did a great job on second down to get to those third and shorts. I'm used to the Norvell offense where you do have a lot of 3 and outs, and you're trying to hit those big plays and push the ball down the field. And they got the flea flicker was well done.
Yes.
And they got the big pass to Pokey late off the horrible spearing. That's a target, by the way.
Wow.
Well, in our reworking of target, that is a target with intent to injure. Whoa. That gets you thrown out.
That'll be on the teaching tape, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Don't ever do that.
Yeah, so this was, like I said, way more than I expected on lines of scrimmage against an SEC team like LSU. And I think that more than anything bodes well for FSU. Agreed?
Yeah, I do. I think it does. I mean, because you got to think the right tackle didn't play, so they were putting in a backup there. I think there was only one holding call the whole game, and it was on Gibbons on a big run.
Yeah.
Defensively on the line, you just didn't see a lot of breakdowns. They didn't give them a lot. They kind of stuck with the game plan. I think they played like a high shell, and they just kind of stuck with it, and they forced LSU to kind of work around it, and they never could. And they got some breaks. I thought as good as their game plan was, I thought LSU's was awful. I'm watching this and I'm like, they're not going to throw the ball at all to number 7, your best player. They're not going to really get him involved immediately. And, it's why, hey, as long as you waste possessions, the better it is for Florida State. So don't do them any favors.
Absolutely.
And, it was overall, I thought it was, really a really strong performance, a great effort.
Yes.
I saw a team that really worked hard. I saw a team that also needs a lot of talent still, but I saw them working. They worked hard. They really grinded out a victory. At times I would have liked for, I feel like more talent at the running back position would have gotten them a few more better plays in that area. A few of the 6-yard gains would have turned into 12-yard gains. And, I understand they weren't really pushing the ball down the field, so I don't want to say the receivers couldn't get separation. And if they couldn't, I get it. It's LSU. Yeah. They're pretty good. They've always had good defensive backs. But, they did a lot of clear out stuff, a lot of underneath stuff. And that was a smart game plan. I think their idea of let's go in there, run up a lot of plays, move the chains, be patient, I think was just it was a wonderful way to play on the road, a wonderful way to get a victory.
And on the other end of the spectrum was Florida, right, who had maybe the biggest win of the weekend, I'd argue, against Utah. Clearly, the AP voters feel the same way because checks notes 12th. They're ranked 12th in the AP poll, which I'm stunned by that, quite honestly. I don't know who would tell you that Florida's the 12th best team in the nation. Maybe you feel differently, but, just what was your evaluation of that game? Obviously, Anthony Richardson was the star.
I'm not, I was covering USF, and we're going to talk about that in a second. And I actually, the idea was I'm covering USF at 4. I'll get to watch half the Gator game. Instead, there was a 3-hour weather delay, so I was watching, mostly watching the Florida game on the computer once I realized the USF game wasn't going to be interesting, which happened about 15 minutes into it. It was a tremendous game, just tremendous back and forth. Right away, you see that Florida, that Billy Napier, the messages that he got across during that team since he's gotten there have been, they have responded to him. He wanted them to be physical. They got more physical. He does, there are times when last year that Gator team would have quit. They did not quit, even at the end. I mean, they were tired. They were gassed. Utah was able to move the ball on them at will in the second half because it was muggy, it was hot, both teams were exhausted, but they figured out ways to they stopped them on a 4th and goal at the 1-inch line. They get the interception late in the game. Amari Burney, a Pinellas County kid, gets it. So they did what they had to do to win, and it's just I think it was a massive win. I think it's just a massive win for what Billy Napier wants to do, the style of football he wants to play. And I don't know how great they're going to be this season, but to win your opener, the Swamp was crazy. Top 10 team, defending Pac-10 champions, a team I still think is a 10-11 win team. I think Utah is very, very good.
So do I. I was surprised they won. I was surprised the Gators won. They played with tremendous poise. They were much more, organized. No stupid penalties for the most part. I was very impressed by the way they were coached. That was a very well coached team, and I think very different than what we saw under Dan Mullen, especially towards the end of the year last year. And clearly Mullen had no clue on personnel because AR is the truth. Ain't no question about that.
Well, there's a few things, we could, I could talk with you about some of that stuff, off the air. But, the one thing I had gotten word out of Gainesville was that he was not going to. His big thing was just, we're not going to beat ourselves. We're not going to we're not going to get a false start on a 3rd and 2 and turn it into a 3rd and 7. We're not going to get, we're not going to get the self-inflicted wounds. They're not going to win every game, but I think their idea is force the team to beat you. Like, they're going to have to beat us to win. We're not going to give them a victory. And that was, and you saw that in week 1. They didn't give Utah to earn what they got. And Utah did enough to win. If they, I think they had 3 possessions inside the red zone where they didn't get any points.
Right.
Where they just missed out on points. And you gotta execute there and you win. But they were but they forced them to do that. Florida stopped them on that 4th and goal at the 1-inch line. It wasn't like they gave,
right.
It wasn't like Utah took a knee.
Right.
They actually went out there and lined up, and they should have gotten the yard. They didn't get the yard.
Right.
So it's a lot of things, and I'm really I'm not number 12, whatever. There's so much you can't get out of week 1. I'm not rankings mean absolutely nothing to me for the first month and a half. So
totally agree.
That's fine. You know what? They probably were the 12th best team in the country after this past week. Georgia could have probably won the NFC North the way they played this week, to be honest with you. So,
yeah, that was a statement game. There's no doubt about that.
So it's 1 week. You gotta take it all a little bit with a grain of salt. The teams that won are all back. The teams that lost are all going to suck. And
not true. Corey Long joining us here, WalterFootball.com. What the hell happened to USF? I didn't get a chance to see it. I was going to try to watch a little bit of it, but it never started. What happened?
Well, the pregame was fine, and then you had a 3-hour weather delay. And they came back, and USF gives up a 75-yard touchdown on just a simple run play. And right then and there, you knew, okay, this is not going to work. Whatever they're trying today is not going to work. And BYU they BYU'd them. They're big, they're strong. They shoved them around. Bohannon, I think his second pass was a pick 6. The offense looked disjointed. Didn't let you know what the heck they were doing. The safety play on the defense was the secondary was just they were lost. It just looked like a team that was not prepared. And we've talked about Jeff Scott. I like him. I think he's a decent guy. I've questioned his ability to run a program. If he's got that level of coach in him, and there's nothing that happened on Saturday that made me think any differently, that he just might not be cut out for this. Like, you look at this and you think, like, where this program needs to be and what they're trying to accomplish, they need to get things done on the field, and I don't think he's a guy that can get that done. I don't see any growth. This is what I call a meaningless loss. And I mean that in the sense that everything that the coach had told us about how much they were going to improve from year 2 to year 3 became meaningless, because they did the exact same thing. Right. They went out, they got their asses kicked for 3 quarters, and they, put together some nice, they didn't give up, I guess, put together some nice late drives. And it's like, well, that's what they were doing last year.
Yeah.
Who cares? Why they bring in 30 transfers to do the exact same thing they were doing last year?
And were you like, and obviously there was the rain delay, but even before that, I saw pictures of when they were supposed to kick off. I mean, were you disappointed almost in the fan turnout? Because we had this with the benefit of not knowing what team we were going to get. And there was all this hype coming in, a top 25 team, season opener. The student section showed out, but were you kind of surprised or a little disappointed in the fans not showing out for the first game?
Disappointed, yes. Surprised, not really. I do think that there's just I think USF has a really patient fan base, but I also think they're a little worn down. They're just tired of seeing a really bad product out there on the field. It's been several years now. I mean, what was the final Willie year. Charlie inherited that team that won, I think, 10-2. Then they had the good start, and they lost 6 straight to end the year. In Charlie's second year. Then they haven't won. I mean, they've won what? 8 games since then? That was 4 years ago.
7 games since then. I mean, and Jeff's won 3 games?
3 games, yeah.
3 games.
3 games, 3-19. Like, you're lucky anybody showed up.
Yeah. I mean, but so much, we just expected better. I mean, from Gary Bohannon and everybody else, They got Howard coming in, whatever, and then they got to go to Florida. Good
Hey,
God.
At least they
who
got
might be
Howard. They
coming
didn't have Jackson State coming in. Jackson State would probably beat them by 30.
That's scary. Hey, quickly going back, because I know you love Mike Norvell so much.
I do. But I'm happy. He won his 10th game in Florida State.
Hey,
Good job.
they're 8-3.
They're 7-3 in their last 10.
And Jordan's only 3 losses, or by 1 loss to Clemson. Anyway, they played some decent football, and that was, but the way he handled the end of the game, dude, was just disastrous. What the F are you thinking? I mean, how do you do a pitch play? How do you not take a knee and kick a field goal? How do you not just quarterback sneak it?
What
the hell are you doing?
All you're trying to do is get a field goal and get them to waste a timeout.
Yes, for God's sake.
You got to think, you get your 2 big special teams plays, you get nothing out of them. They get 1 covered inside the 20, 1 inside the 5, and they get 0 points total out of them.
And then you rush 3 the entire time, where they have 2 timeouts and a minute 20 or whatever it is, and you're going to rush 3 the entire time and just let Jaden Daniels run down the field and throw to the boundary. I mean, that was the worst. That was like Jacksonville State all over again.
Oh my!
What are you doing?
It was. I was head scratching, but the one thing is the one thing, and I mean, I know they do a lot of special teams at FSU. When you find yourself in those situations late, and in college football, a lot of extra points are missed in those situations because the team that just scored is so excited, they're so pumped up, they're not fully engaged in what they have to do on the kick protection. And in this case, it was the same thing. I looked at it at least 20 times, and it's like nobody accounted for Shaheem Brown. Right. Nobody. The guys in that end were just so busy beaming and celebrating. No one accounted for him. It just wasn't a kid like Shaheem Brown gets 10 plays a game. So every play he's going to work his butt off on it. So he went in there and he blocks it. And it's just like, I've seen this a million times, You've got, they just, you remember that they're kids again. And but yeah, the end of the game was a little, especially after they made it 24-17. You figure that, okay, they're gonna change what they're gonna do defensively now, and and put a little, because they were doing a great job with just a 4-man and mixing in some pressure. Jared Verse had a very good game. The tackles played well.
Played great.
Yeah. So we'll see. The good thing is they got 10 days off. I'm actually gonna get a good look. I'm gonna get a close look at Louisville on Friday. I'm headed down there to watch them play UCF. I don't think Louisville's gonna win, so I'm a little. That's gonna be interesting on the road against a wounded dog. A wounded dog that was more than happy to kick you while you were down last year. You get a chance to return the favor for them at home early and really put them in a bad spot. So this is to me, this is now. They had 6 months to prepare for FSU. I mean, for LSU, no offense to Duquesne, but they had 6 months to prepare for LSU. Now now it's going to be, I think they're going to be facing a team that's really going to have their backs up against the wall. And it's going to be interesting to see how they play.
Yeah, look, I think FSU should beat Louisville. They Wake Forest will have the quarterback back, Sam Hartman. So, they should be undefeated going into that game. I think they should go 3-4-4-0. So we'll see. Maybe a special year for FSU.
The thing about week 1 is everything that you might have thought about a team could change.
Yeah.
Like you would all probably think, Florida game's probably a victory in year 1. And now it's like, oh shoot, if they can stay healthy for 12 games, which they can't probably, not in the SEC, then hey, that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
So
all right, Corey.
Everything.
Great stuff, my friend. Tell folks how they can get your fantastic content.
All right. You can always find me over at Corbin Long on Twitter, and I link up various things from there from time to time, stuff that I do for different outlets, Walter Football, NHL.com, Vox Media, do some sports betting content for The Advocate and out in New Orleans. So I do a little bit of everything.
You are a Renaissance man, my friend. That's what you are, a Renaissance man. I always appreciate your time. Let's get you on every week. How about we do that?
Absolutely, JP. I'm down for it,
All
buddy.
right, all right.
Anything you need.
It's a good time. We'll do it every Wednesday right about this time. Thanks, buddy. I love conversating
Take care.
with you. College football. I love Corey Long. And he's there at the games, knows the game, knows recruiting as well as anybody. But I mean, it's so good to have the big three, at least even for week one. I'm sorry, UCF, you haven't earned anything yet. Haven't earned anything yet.
Hold up.
Until you win a national title, you're not in the big three.
Hold up.
Until you win a national title, you're
Before
not in
the
the big
season
three.
started, we have the archives. You said that UCF would probably be the best team in the state of Florida.
I said
What's
they
changed?
have the most wins.
Week one, all of a sudden, everything's changed. They're the fourth best team in the rankings, which are BS. And now you're just saying big three instead of big four.
So you win a national championship, you can't get in the club. It's pretty simple. Pretty simple. Win a national championship.
I mean, well, it says it on the stadium, so it says it in all the police cars that patrol around campus. So I have merchandise that says it.
It's so good. It's so good. Well, hopefully FSU and UCF in a bowl game. It'd be fun.
Please.
I would love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Our thanks to Greg Auman, who joined us today, TJ Rives, and the great Corey Long. What a great show we had today. It was really fun. We do it every day, folks. 2 hours from 10 to 12. We are live, and then you can listen to us as a podcast on Apple, Spotify. You can watch us. Please subscribe to YouTube. We got to get our subscriptions up, so please just go to YouTube and subscribe to the channel. It ain't that hard to do, so we can get some super chat money coming in to continue the dream here. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. Go Rays tonight as they take on the Red Sox again. Mortgage the house and go to the game if you want to. We'll be back tomorrow for more fun and frivolity. See you then.